just say if this is the case, guilt, remorse, and shame. Guilt, remorse, and shame are emotions. Um, Actually, all three can create depression, anxiety, and all three, and actually all of these emotions can create a great divide within yourself, because you have all these emotions jumbled up within you because you know that you are guilty of something. The human body doesn't lie about anything. The body doesn't know anything about lying. The body only knows truth. The body only knows truth. Hence the shame, hence the guilt, right? Shame, guilt, remorse. I mean, these are emotions of feelings of guilt that individual has done something to violate the agreement, the marital agreement. So if someone has violated the marital agreement, yeah, you're going to be depressed. You're going to be depressed because now you're going to have compounding emotions pounding away on your brain and your entire being, because your spirit doesn't feel good. Your spirit doesn't feel good. And you have to feel all those emotions. You have to sit in those emotions. Why? Because you're guilty of something that made you feel remorseful. So if you're feeling guilt and remorse, any of these, shame, guilt, remorse, and shame, depression is when you've gotten to the point of being so unhappy. Know that, again, I've said it time and time again, all of us make choices in life, and all choices will render an outcome. All choices will render an outcome. And if you make a choice in your relationship to violate whatever the agreement was in your marital vows, if you violate that, then you're going to have to eat that pill. But all of this can be a learning moment. All of this can be a learning moment. Not only for you, but for the spouse as well. A learning moment. Because you can learn how to be humble to say, hey, I effed up. I effed up. And even if you've done something beyond the point of forgiveness, the best thing that you can do for yourself is to acknowledge that you made an error. Acknowledge it. Acknowledge that hey, I take responsibility. I did something that went against our marital vows or went against our marital agreement. And hey, this is how I feel about it. Or at least this is how I think I feel about it. Because a lot of times it takes people time to process the things that they've done, because they may not know how it impacts others or the other party involved, the spouse, putting themselves in their shoes, how they may feel, what they're feeling, because of whatever it is that you did that gave you this remorseful feeling. So yes, anxiety, depression, anxiety because you don't know if you're going to be forgiven. Yeah, that'll create anxiety. If you have children, yeah, that'll create anxiety too. Anxiety on whether your children are consciously aware enough to know that you made a mistake. You made an error that violated your commitment. And how are the children going to respond? How are the children going to respond? So these are all things that need to be considered. And once they are considered, then now you can make a decision to do something better. If not for this relationship, for the next relationship. Because all relationships have to be looked upon as a learning lesson. Especially if the relationship has been taken to a point to where we can't go any further. And if we can't go any further, then what have we learned from this so we can move forward? That's what we need to take away. So therefore, we don't have to have lingering anxiety or being anxious of what's going to happen next. What if this happens? What if that happens? Am I going to see my children? Are we truly going to get a divorce? I mean, all of these things, once you come forward and acknowledge that and take responsibility, it will usually make the situation a lot easier because at least you've come forward and taken responsibility. Therefore, the shameful feeling can begin to diminish. The feeling of remorse can begin to diminish because now you're ready to renew yourself because you've taken responsibility. So these are the things to consider. No marriage has to fail when both parties are on the same page. Because errors do happen. Whatever the circumstances are, if both parties are willing to sit down and have a meeting of the minds, all things are possible. If they're willing to make that commitment on making that relationship successful. Now, if whatever the situation is beyond reconstruction, then hey, life moves forward, and you move forward, and you become a bigger and better person because of it. And some people may disagree, but when you look at life in that way, it becomes easier and it takes the stress off of you. It takes the stress off of you. No one wants to be in perpetual stress forever. Errors in marriage are to be a learning tool. Or any relationship. They're to be a learning tool. Not something that will keep us in perpetual depression for the rest of our lives, because the rest of your life will be very short because of depression, because of anxiety, and neither gives us a good feeling. And when neither gives us a good feeling, it's time to consider doing something different. Relationships will work and be successful when they are designed in the mind by both parties to be successful. If one party derails from that commitment, then you're going to have chaos in some way, shape, form, or fashion. And again, this will bring on depression and anxiety and any other adverse emotion or sensation that makes you feel bad. Who wants that? So again, this is about let's start making some better choices, or let's consider making some better choices, or consider some decisions that will make us feel a little better, and then just kind of capitalize on those, because again, those are successes. Relationships can be successful when you want them to be successful. Errors can be minimized when the communication is wide open. When there's a detachment in communication, here's another opportunity for circumstances to go awry in the relationship because the communication has collapsed somewhere. So here's another factor of why a lot of relationships tend to take a turn for the worst, or take a turn to a place, or take a turn to somewhere where neither party wants to go because it makes neither party feel good. So yeah, in any and all relationships, do the right things that make you feel good. When both parties feel good, and when both parties communicate that good feeling, there should be no room for any guilt feelings or shameful feelings or remorseful feelings of anything, because you'll feel like you don't need to do anything behind your spouse's back, or doing things or doing activities without their knowledge, because this is your spouse according to whatever the agreement is. Typically in marriage, unless the agreement is otherwise, or unless the agreement is stated otherwise in contractual agreement, most spouses know virtually all things about the other party, and they have certain trust that whatever is communicated between the two parties, it will be held sacred between the two parties. These are marital conditions that these are marital conditions that, if not agreed upon or if violated, there's going to be chaos. So let's just be smart, or let's be smarter and let's communicate better. Communicate better. It just makes for a more successful relationship, because men and women just think differently on many subjects for a lot of reasons that I won't get into now, but just know that those sensations, the sensations of guilt, the sensations of shame, the sensations of knowing that you made an error that went against the grain of whatever your marital commitment or whatever your relationship commitment was. Now's the time for a learning moment. Whether the other person is in acceptance of it or not is irrelevant, as long as you know that you've acknowledged your error. That would be a great start for a potentially better marriage moving forward. Being the case that the other spouse or the other party is willing to forgive. Forgiveness is huge in marriage, because both parties do make errors, and forgiveness is the one thing that is sometimes neglected. Forgiveness. Because, when you hold yourself accountable for your errors and be willing to learn from them, and your spouse is willing to, hey, go down that road with you, because if you can learn something together as a unit, that's just going to make you even stronger moving forward as a unit. It'll make you a more powerful unit moving forward. Because now there's more understanding. There's more understanding. No matter who the guilty party is, there's understanding. So everyone's on the same page. Thank you for tuning in to the Counsel Clips. If you believe Holistic Life Counsel is right for you, schedule your sessions today by contacting Kennetic-Fit and Wellness at area code 562-306-8944. That's 562-306-8944. Be sure to visit the Kennetic-Fit and Wellness YouTube channel at Kennetic-Fit and Wellness Info, where you can view your favorite videos, including the best of Aim to Purpose, the radio show. Make sure to subscribe, click thumbs up, and remember to leave your comment. Kennetic-Fit and Wellness, mental attitude first.